What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao here in Taipei, and welcome to TaiwanPlus. Looking at our top story of the day, an annual U.S. Taiwan Defense Conference is underway in the U.S. state of Virginia, looking to deepen security ties between the two countries. Our reporter Jaime Ocon is there.
This is the Williamsburg Lodge. It's about an hour's flight south of Washington, D.C., and for the next 3 days, security analysts and defense officials from both the United States and Taiwan will gather here for the U.S. Taiwan Defense Industry Conference to talk about the best ways to defend Taiwan. Now, for decades, the United States has provided Taiwan with weapon systems and the equipment needed to defend itself, and it's conferences like this that look at where the two sides stand in terms of security cooperation. This meeting is organized by the U.S. Taiwan Business Council. They facilitate trade and business exchanges between the two countries. And the council's president says this event has come a long way.
This is the 22nd time we've done this event, and 2002 being the first year. Through that, the event has grown in importance as a platform for defense industry and for the governments to come together and talk about important issues, namely security assistance for Taiwan.
Now, this conference is divided into several sections. The first 2 days look at the current threat facing Taiwan, what the biggest risks are, and how the U.S. can help Taiwan. The last day then looks at specific strategies and recommendations for Taiwan to boost its defense and resilience. And at the end of the conference, attendees will take those recommendations and pass them on to analysts and policymakers in both countries in the hopes that they can help prevent a conflict. Now, that threat of conflict comes from China, and this conference comes weeks after record-breaking Chinese military activity in the Taiwan Strait. Now, officials here told me that activity gives you a sense of the urgency of the situation and shows the importance of meetings like this one. Devin Tai and Jaime Ocon in Williamsburg, Virginia for TaiwanPlus.
Presidential hopeful Wen-je has arrived in the United States on a 4-day trip. It's the second time the Taiwan People's Party candidate has traveled to the U.S. this year. Ko will meet with industry leaders in California in the fields of education, technology, and green energy. Ko hopes to learn more about industry and innovation to improve his policies. On his final day, he will attend an event for his U.S.-based supporters in Southern California. The U.S. Congress has passed a stopgap bill to avoid a government shutdown. After several attempts, politicians from across the aisle finally agreed on a temporary funding bill, and U.S. President Joe Biden quickly signed it into law. But this new package does not include any military funding for Ukraine, as some lawmakers had pushed for. Biden says Congress will work to draw up a new deal to continue aid to the country. If a country loses its land, can it still be considered a country? That's the question facing one island nation at the forefront of climate change. Louise Watt sends us this report from Tuvalu's capital.
One of the smallest countries in the world, Tuvalu is putting its culture on show to celebrate its 45th Independence Day. But this anniversary is also looking to the future. It marks the start of a new constitution designed to protect that culture and the nation as a whole by addressing the reality that Tuvalu is sinking. Most of its land is no more than 2 meters above sea level, meaning Tuvalu could be the first country in the world to disappear due to rising sea levels. If that happens and Tuvalu's 11,000 people have to migrate elsewhere, the government hopes that even without a physical territory, a new definition of statehood will mean the country can still exist.
We're saying that the statehood encompasses our history, our culture, and that will continue to exist in perpetuity, regardless of the impacts of climate change.
Tuvalu is asking its allies to accept this legal definition, and 10 already have, including Taiwan. The government says its new constitution is about future-proofing Tuvalu, having it recognized in international law as a state even with no land, so it can protect its assets, like its fishing rights. That would mean Tuvalu could still get income from giving foreign vessels rights to fish in what has been defined and internationally recognized as its waters. The new definition of statehood has support from people within Tuvalu.
I think that is a good idea to have that as a recognition of what we Tuvaluans were, because that holds a lot of identity for the Tuvalus, the cultural heritage for Tuvalus, and a home for the Tuvalus.
So if their land is lost in the years to come, Tuvaluans hope their tangible culture, like these dances, will live on. Klein Wong and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
The United Kingdom has announced an almost $5 billion plan to build attack submarines. Britain's biggest defense contractor, BAE Systems, was awarded the deal to build those subs. It's part of the AUKUS security pact with Australia and the U.S. to supply nuclear-powered submarines to Australia by the early 2030s. This is largely in response to China's rising influence in the Indo-Pacific. Meanwhile, voters in the Maldives have elected a pro-China president. Mohamed Muizzu won with 54% of the vote in Saturday's election. He campaigned on closer ties with Beijing as opposed to neighboring India, his country's traditional ally. His coalition has backed Chinese loans and investment. Muizzu's inauguration in November could see the country abandon the India First policy championed by the current president, which could be a boost for China's ambitions in the Indian Ocean. Hundreds of people have paid tribute to the victims of last year's deadly football stadium stampede in Indonesia, with fires lit on the pitch as grieving relatives demand justice. A year ago Sunday, police fired tear gas into packed stands at Kanjuruhan Stadium in East Java after fans invaded the pitch. 135 people were killed in the ensuing crush, including 43 children. 3 police officers and 2 civilians are facing prison sentences for that disaster. But many people say this is not enough, and they are calling for more to be done. Thousands of people are being evicted from their homes on an island in Indonesia. This is to make way for a Chinese-funded mega project. Harrell Hughes has the details.
This small fishing village may not be here much longer. The land it sits on is the future site of a Chinese-funded eco-city on the Indonesian island of Rempang. More than 7,500 people are being forcibly evicted by the Indonesian government to make way for the project.
Mereka udah ratusan tahun menempati, termasuk saya sendiri. Di Kampung Monggak ini kami udah 5 turunan, Bu. Artinya banyak kenangan pahit, banyak kenangan manis yang tidak dapat kami kikiskan dari hati kami.
Rempang is home to several indigenous communities who have lived there for centuries. The ocean is a part of their way of life and livelihoods. But now residents are afraid for the future of their traditions.
This is entirely in violation of international law because indigenous communities have to give their free, prior and informed consent for any developments on their territories.
Rempang is the latest Indonesian island to be a focus of foreign investment. The government says the project will bring in billions of dollars with a glass and solar panel factory. The plan is to relocate the locals to apartments on another island.
Investasi pembangunan itu nggak masalah, tapi janganlah semuanya dipukul rata. Katanya mau diratakan, digusur semua. Itu gimana coba nasib-nasib mereka itu? Atau itu berita benar atau enggak? Anak-anak sekolah di sini gimana nasib mereka?
To make way for the project, state forces, including local police and the military, have been deployed to survey the land and clear the villages. Numerous people from the local communities have resisted.
Daripada saya huru-hara terus sama masyarakat, sama pemerintah ini yang saya tidak mau juga. Karena saya juga pingin hidup tenang, Pak. Tenang betul. Karena sudah 1 bulan nih payah tidur saya nih mikirin kampung ini.
The relocation deadline has been temporarily extended as the Indonesian government considers other options, all while these small villages do their best to resist eviction. James Lin and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
The Asian Games are heading into the last week of competition. Joyce Sung brings us some of the highlights.
The golds keep coming in. Taiwan's 3,000-meter speed skating relay teams and rowing crew have grabbed 3 more gold medals at the Asian Games in Hangzhou, China. And another one on the basketball court. With 7 seconds to go, Taiwan's men's 3-on-3 team beat Qatar 18-16 in a dramatic final. The country's athletes have also been racking up medals in what's been a strong showing by the team, which is competing under the name Chinese Taipei. Last week, Taiwan's so-called pommel horse prince Li Zikai defended his 2018 title with a winning score of 15.5. In tennis, the women's doubles final was a full-blown Taiwanese showdown, with sisters Zhang Yongran and Zhang Haoqing beating compatriots Li Yaxuan and Liang Enshuo in straight sets. Meanwhile, individual speed skaters Li Mengzhu and Liu Yixuan steamrolled the competition to take gold and silver, respectively. And for the first time ever, esports have also been included in the event, with Taiwan's team winning medals in both Street Fighter V and League of Legends. This year's games haven't been short of thrillers either. 25-year-old North Korean weightlifter Ri Song-gun set a new world record in the women's 49 kilograms division, lifting a combined 216 kilos. There's also been some drama. An official's leg was broken after Kuwaiti hammer throw finalist Ali Zankawi aborted an attempt, releasing the 16-pound metal ball attached to a wire into the official's leg. Meanwhile, a false start debacle in the women's 100-meter hurdles final ended in the disqualification of China's Wu Yani. But with a week left of the multi-sport event, the region's top athletes are staying focused and strapping in to finish fast and finish strong. Kamashu and Joyce Sin for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan is currently ranked 5th in the medal count with 12 gold, 10 silver, and 14 bronze. China's leading the scoreboard, followed by Japan and South Korea. Health workers in Taiwan's southern city of Tainan put in extra hours over the holiday-long weekend trying to get the city's dengue outbreak under control. The city is at the center of the country's epidemic, with over 11,000 cases recorded there. This includes 2,000 in the past week alone. Workers have been using chemical sprays against mosquitoes, the insects that spread the disease. Tainan Mayor Wen-je has been pitching in with those efforts.
平常上班日可能我公务在忙，放假日我能够支援，我一定尽量来全力来支援他们。至少多一个人力，那就减一分疫情。
Firefighters on the outlying Penghu Islands are trying to put out a landfill fire. Around 7,000 square meters of garbage have been smoldering on the small island of Jibei since Saturday afternoon. Firefighters plan to spray seawater on the flames so they can put out the fire without disrupting the island's limited water supply. They say it's been a tricky operation so far.
废弃物底部有沼气存在，及挖掘机动线不佳，无法进入协助抢救。虽然火势一度有控制，但后续仍有复燃情形。
Volunteers have built a new home for a polio survivor and his family in Yunlin County. John Van Trieste takes a look inside.
It's the grand unveiling of Mr. Zhang's new house. His old home, where he lived with his family, was barely more than a 3-square-meter shed. The family made do here in the central township of Sihu until Zhang's wife died 7 years ago. Zhang survived polio as a child, a bout of disease that means he has trouble moving, much less doing upkeep. His meager income as a knife sharpener meant hiring builders was also out of the question. So over time, the home fell into disrepair. That's the state the family was in when volunteers from the Formosa charity group found them and decided to help.
孩子也没有自己的房间呐，就跟爸爸一起住，所以我们就决定帮他盖一个3房1厅1卫。
It took much of August to prepare the site and 3 weeks of construction work in September, but now the home is ready to live in. The workers say accessibility was a big consideration in the design.
我们观察他的日常生活起居的一些习惯，然后我们就按照他的生活习惯跟他能够做的一个范围然后我们来设计他的那个房子。
All this work they've put in has left Mr. Zhang nearly speechless. The volunteers hope their efforts will be a turning point for Mr. Zhang and his 2 children, and they'll keep trying to support other people who are living with difficulties. John Su and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for joining us here on What's Up Taiwan. Before we go, we've got some rescued harpy eagles being released into the wild after 5 years. I'm Eric Gao, and have a great day.